We have some pretty significant news this afternoon regarding former Ottawa Senator Alex Formenton, who apparently has launched a lawsuit against his former agent for over $20 million. We'll discuss the details and what the allegations are coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some pretty significant news this afternoon in the world of hockey regarding former NHLer and former Ottawa Senator Alex Formenton. Now, of course, Alex Formenton is a former NHL player, never was re-signed to an NHL contract after the Ottawa Senators chose not to come to terms with him for whatever reason after his ELC expired. Of course, we now know Alex Formenton, along with some other former NHL players, are awaiting trial and are accused of sexual assault that took place in 2018 in London, Ontario at a Hockey Canada event, which was celebrating their championship victory from that previous World Junior Championship tournament. Alex Formenton has been kind of at the forefront of names that were kind of, when we didn't know the identity of the players. Unfortunately, I'm not sure, based on everything that kind of went down. I know early on there was a lot of speculation he was one of those players that were involved, and took a while before, of course, that was confirmed. But we know that Alex Formenton was drafted in the second round by the Ottawa Senators. During the course of his entry-level contract, he, for the most part, played some more junior hockey, played some more minor league hockey with the AHL, and really that last season of the ELC really spent the full campaign in Ottawa, broke out as a important player with great speed, shorthanded goals with 5. It looked like he was going to be a really important, maybe not more than a third-line player, but somebody who was a third-liner, who could kill penalties, have that speed, like I said, the shorthanded threat, and maybe have that potential down the road to possibly work his way into the top 6. I know a lot of people were around the Senators were excited about what he may be able to bring to the team. And of course, over the course of that summer is when all the allegations came out about players linked to the 2018 World Junior Canadian team that were being accused of sexual assault. And of course, it took a long time for anything to be made public before charges were laid. It was a long, drawn-out process. Now we know, of course, Alex Formenton, Michael McLeod, Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, and Cal Foote are all awaiting trial as they are accused of sexual assault in that situation. So what Formenton is alleging in this lawsuit against his former agent, which is Wade Arnold of Newport Sports, and of course Newport Sports is, I believe, when it comes to NHL players, like the largest agency. Pat Brisson is one of the top, I think is the top individual agent. Of course, he works under CAA, but Newport, I think, is the largest overall agency. It represents some pretty big names across hockey. So Wade Arnott, has a lot of clients. So Alex Formenton alleges here that his former agent, the allegations are negligence, breach of contract, and breach of fiduciary duty. So basically it says that he suffered income loss for the 22-23 and 23-24 season, along with future income earning potential from not playing during those seasons due to lost playing time. Of course, we know during that summer, there was a lot of speculation as to why Formenton and the Ottawa Senators could not come to terms. This lawsuit alleges that the Ottawa Senators did make the qualifying offer to Formenton, which of course was necessary to retain his signing rights. Now, based on this season he had, no player that put up the numbers he did and was looking with them as much potential and promise as him would just sign the qualifying offer, which essentially is a 1-year contract with a small bump in pay above the ELC. No player was going to do that. I mean, not with the way he played. If you're a fringe player and you don't really have a regular spot carved out and you don't know if you're going to be on the team, you probably take that just to continue your opportunity to grow and get better. But a player like Formenton had turned out to be, no, he's going to be looking for more money. So essentially that qualifying offer was made from the Ottawa Senators to the player, and they rejected the offer. Now, what Formenton is also advising in this lawsuit is that he was not aware that the qualifying offer could be extended. Now, of course, when you hear those cases where the agent can go back and make an agreement with the team that they're not formally rejecting the qualifying offer, they're just not signing it, and they want an extension on when they have to do that. So he's saying that he wasn't even aware that was an option and something that the agent never did. He also says that he wasn't aware, and the agent never made him aware, that by signing and accepting his qualifying offer, that as early as the following January, he would have been eligible for a contract extension. So basically, as most of you who follow this channel and know hockey well, when you sign a 1-year contract, you cannot sign an extension until the season's half over, which is over January 1st. So players sign a 1-year deal, they go to camp, they start the season in October. Once January 1st rolls around, then they're eligible to discuss an extension. What Formenton alleges in this lawsuit is that he didn't know that a third contract, which because he had his rookie one, this would be contract 2. If he accepted that as a 1-year deal, that as early as January, they would have been allowed to negotiate that next third contract, which could have been for more money, longer term deal, etc. He's saying that that was not something that he was aware of. So again, saying that the agent didn't essentially do his job. The agent advised Formenton that they would keep in touch with the Senators throughout and eventually try to get a deal done. The deal never happened. The Senators would believe that they never really have made another offer. And that was that. Now, of course, later, they ended up negotiating a contract for him to go play in Switzerland. Used the same agent. The agent, of course, negotiated a clause in that contract that gave him an out to return to the NHL and to get out of that contract if a deal in the NHL was finalized. So, of course, once December 1st rolls around and no deal comes, he's no longer eligible to play for that entire season. Plays out the year in Europe. I believe his salary, according to the lawsuit, was $125,000. Of course, that's a far cry from what he would have earned in the NHL had he come to terms. And, well, here we are, right? So, obviously, a major loss in income. But clearly, like I said, that summer when all the speculation came out, even though there was no names, I always kind of wondered if the Senators or somebody knew something, because it just seemed weird that without having any kind of confirmation that Formenton was involved, while they really didn't seem to make much of an effort to re-sign this player. Yes, they offered a qualifying offer, but that's it. It just felt weird. They had to have known something, right? Because why else would they not want to bring this guy back? It just seemed very bizarre. So clearly, at this point, Formenton suing for over $20 million of lost wages, basically saying that the agent, kind of caused him to not continue on his NHL career, essentially, and that he's the reason that he was out of the league for a couple of years. Where I'm sorry, I really don't think that's the case. I think the allegations, which even though they were not made public, like I said, I think that the Senators had to have known something. And I don't know, I can't prove that. It's really weird. But, it just, what other explanation is there that they really didn't try to sign this player? Now, the agent doesn't sound, at least based on Formenton's allegations, didn't try to get an offer sheet. It doesn't really mention anything about, trying to work with the team to get him traded. Like, I don't know, right? I mean, and as much as these players that are awaiting trial, of course, we all understand that they're technically innocent until proven guilty. But a lot of details through these investigations, through Hockey Canada and everything that was done, were released, and it doesn't sound or look good. I can't say with any kind of certainty that they're going to be found guilty. It's expected that Formenton and all of his Hockey Canada teammates that are on trial are going to plead not guilty. I believe they've already done that. But I don't know, right? It doesn't sound and look good based on all of the evidence and all of the information that was disclosed from the investigations that were completed. And that's part of the reason why the police took so long to lay charges, that they had to make sure that everything was, done properly so that the charges could stick if they had a chance to convict. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this situation, but certainly Alex Formenton at this rate, unlike some of his teammates from Hockey Canada, because some of the other guys had sought permission to leave Canada to play hockey overseas. They had KHL opportunities, which I think most of them had their contracts terminated, if I'm not mistaken. Had nothing to do with the legal stuff or anything to do with this case of the allegations in the court case that's pending here. I know there was one team that had a few of them, and I think they had their contracts terminated because they were just moving on from a bunch of non-Russian players. I don't know the whole story. I don't really follow the KHL that closely, but I just remember seeing some details on that. But Formenton never did that. He's saying now that he's learning like heavy machinery and construction and kind of learning a whole new career because he's never really known or done anything but hockey. So it's proven very difficult for him to kind of, earn a decent living. He's kind of starting all over again, which, you know what? That's what happens, right? It happens to the best of people, regardless of your profession. It doesn't matter if you're a professional athlete. Sometimes things happen. It could be a workplace accident. It could be an injury. It could be all kinds of things. It could be a health condition, and you have no choice but to change careers, and it can be very difficult financially while you're going through that transition. Not to mention not being accused of a heinous crime. So clearly, I don't know if this is going to be able to move forward, if the agent's really at any risk to actually have to pay any damages to Formenton or not, but I'd be curious to see how this plays out. I know a lot of people are already commenting saying, clearly, for a player who's on trial, for a pretty heinous crime and some accused of doing some horrific things, not really kind of taking much responsibility here, kind of laying the blame on other people for why he didn't get an NHL contract. So it doesn't look good, but at the same time, we still don't know everything. So the court case has to go through its process. And like I said, I'll state again, it doesn't look and sound very good based on what we've learned, but we don't know everything. And I don't know how that court case is going to go. I do think that these players' reputations have taken a major hit, though. And even if the odd chance that they're found not guilty, I don't know if they're going to be given more opportunities. Hard to say, right? So we'll see what happens. But another interesting lawsuit that we didn't really expect to see, and we'll have to follow along to see how it goes. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.